Hurry up. Here we go. Looks good, looks good, looks good. You made it on time or I made it on time? Okay. We've had some busy times here. I've never been busier since shutting this shop, you know, it's crazy. I thought I was going to have some wonderful free time, make prints, fool around, relax. You're right. Paper is out. One package of paper today. Bei-chan is working on the 5th print. Whether we'll need it or not, who knows, but she's working on the 5th print of this year's series. Ayumi-san is off today. Her young daughter is in a daycare center for the first day today. And they're only doing a 1-hour session to acclimatize the kids, so she won't be here today. Okay, what we got going on here today? Today, if you watched, those of you who watched the other day, Monday, you know what's going on. It's hair carving. I carved the first batch, and then I did other work yesterday while I was saved this one for today's stream. And I had trouble with the second camera. We put a second camera up, but I had trouble with the focus. And Cameron sent me a link. He looked up a manual online for this thing, sent me a link, and I fooled around a bit, and lo and behold, I found a button, a physical button, that says manual focus. I was looking through all the menus and menus and menus and menus and menus. There's a physical button for manual focus. So we're going to try this today. I'm not quite sure because it's extremely sensitive. Here's what we're going to do. The main camera, which you're looking at now, I've moved that as high as possible on the tripod, and it's looking more vertically down now. So it shouldn't be chasing focus too much. It's looking, it's not 90 degrees, but it's whatever, 70 degrees or something. So that's the camera. In fact, here, I can show you a photograph of this setup here this morning. Here's what we're looking at. That's as I'm sitting here. I took this photograph just a moment ago from my seat. So the tripod you see in the background is the main camera looking down, and I have beside me now the second camera, the one that's normally outside, and you can see where it is. It's right there beside my hands. And it's set to manual focus, and it turns out the manual focus for this thing just simply has 10 settings. 1 meter, 90 centimeters, 80, 76, 40, 50, and the closest is 10 centimeters. And it's a physical setting, 0.1 meter. So it's set for 0.1 meter, and so in order to get it in focus, I had to set it first, put the camera on these rolls of tape, slide it back and forth, balance it with the hammer at the back. Yeah, MacGyver, yeah, so Mr. Persuader. And what we get with this, let me click off that photograph. What we get is, where can I find it? Here we are. This is the view from that side camera. It looks pretty good. I don't know the view, as you can see it, it's fuzzied out back here, but it's sharp right here. And the two cameras, that one, if I put my finger in place, if I click these off, you can see where we are. These are the two views. So what should I do here? I'll try and do both of these together. I'm not quite sure. Let's try that. If I take this one and move it over there, and take the second one and oops, back here just a minute. Just a minute here, sorry. Take the first one over there, okay, then the second camera. And move it down here. Is this going to be the way to do this? Put the wider camera lower left, other way around. I've got this backwards, have I? No, let's try, let's see. If I put that one over there, turn that off for a second. This one down here. Just a minute here, hang on a sec. except there's too much empty. I could try moving it. Hang on, if I've got everything set up here. No, if I try and... I told you I shouldn't have fooled around with this. Let's try this. Is that confusing? Let's try this. Yeah, let's leave it like this. It may be, if we just turn this one off, it might be better. Whatever. Let's just leave it like this right now. See how she goes. This is assuming that I can do this with all this crap in the way of my hands. I've put the camera on the right hand side because I'm left-handed, of course. So if I try and slide in here just to do a test here looking down, I think I can maybe do this, but then I'm going to have to turn it round in a minute to do that side. Let's try this. Let's try this. Nothing like concentrating on your work here, you know, doing the most difficult work on this planet with all these distractions. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. This is interesting. There's a defect in the wood here, and when I was preparing to paste this hunched down, I noticed this. There was actually a couple. There was one here and one here. Oops. There's another one here. There's a defect here and a defect here. So when I was pasting this thing down, I had to be careful of these. And you can see perhaps if I move over here, the corner is normally even. I put it 9 millimeters, 9 millimeters. But it's not. It's 9 millimeters and about 4. And the reason I moved the registration mark on this one is because of this thing. If I had put the registration mark in my normal place without even thinking about it, this hair would have fallen on that knot, which is not what we want. So I try to move it back, but move it back too far and you get in trouble with this one. Okay, here we go. Do I need to explain the whole thing again, the 5 steps, the 5 steps? I don't think so, Sue. That camera is having more trouble focusing since I moved it at a higher angle. Funny, me. Okay, let me be quiet for a minute and let's get started. I sharpened up actually, by the way, to a few minutes ago before we started. I sharpened here. Not sure how visible it is. The lines you see on the block are printed from the first version of this that I carved a year or so ago. It turned out that I made some mistakes in the carving, so we're re-carving this. But the lines you see on the block are not from a tracing. They're from the first version I carved. So somewhere there are irregular hairs, some thicker, too thin, whatever. There's a whole group here which are way too thick. In fact, they wouldn't even print well. They're all blurred together. So I don't know if you can see, it might just look like a black mass for you. These are, excuse me, these are supposed to be individual hairs. So when we get to the end of this morning, we'll be trying to thin those down. Then the other most difficult part about this thing this morning is that some of these hairs, the ones on the left side of her face, are curved inwards. And by the time we get to the other side, they're curved outwards. So somewhere there's got to be a changeover and a transition. Okay, here we go. This one was fat, thin, fat in the first version. We can fix that, but I'm sure I'll be introducing more this time around. Okay, same as with the other day. Let's do about 10 at a time. I think that's about 10 hairs. So that's the second stroke in this series of 5. Are we okay? Nobody's yelling and screaming, no capitals, focus, focus. Oh, you got your own discussion. Good, good, good. Oops, that one's too long for sure. That was the one that was fat, I see, so I was following the fatness. Let's trim it down a bit. This is harder. There we go, there's our 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now they're not finished, these are all now straight, I don't know what's the word, they're triangles. They have a flat top and they come to about a similar point. But for them, we have to now make 2 more strokes on each hair to bevel them over. And it's almost that you really can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to pull the knife down the hair again, and at the end of it here, starting around now, I'm tipping sideways. The hairs are in the way there. Tipping sideways to bevel off this thing. Beveling sideways. And then again, the 5th cut, the same thing on the other side. Just tip it back. To exaggerate, I'm going this way. It's almost nothing. I don't know if you can see it, but it is happening. I'm losing our focus. Are we losing our focus? Seems okay. What's happening here? Oh, Hubi-chan's here. Oh, great. Sugoi. I'm missing all this. Sorry. Jesus. Okay. Hubi White, that's my daughter, of course, my second daughter, with Clara, my granddaughter, my 3rd grandchild. It's her birthday today, of course, not here. It's her birthday. Yeah, I slid out of the focus area, did I? Okay. Hi. Whatever, keep reminding me. I need a cameraman here, it's just no way around this to do this kind of stuff. You need the camera and the cameraman, but we had this the other day when we saw this. What you're seeing here now, I don't know if you can see the ends of these things. The end that you're seeing here is actually below the printing area. The printed part of the hair is actually somewhere around here. This is where the hairs will end on the print itself. And then it bevels down till it just drops off here. So these actual ends, they look like a straight line. This is it's invisible. It's below the printing surface. The real hair is somewhere around here. And if I touch it, I can feel this bevels up now. Okay, let's find the next group. Try and get this focus exactly right. I'm going to work right there. Is that in focus? Yes, seems so. April Fool's baby. Yeah, interesting. My older daughter too was supposed to be April 1st, but she made it on April 2nd. It took a couple of days to happen. Not Humi's here, she's my second daughter. My elder daughter, Himi-chan, she was born April 2nd. Nearly got to be an April baby, April Fool baby. Something that runs in the family, April births. I don't know why. Okay, let's try this. Now these are quite heavily curved. You can see the bells, can you? I don't really know. I'm not sure if I can see it. Yeah, maybe, I guess. So, it's hard to see. Okay, let's keep going. Check out the ones we did the other day. I think you can see them, you know? It's hard to say. Okay, anyway, let's keep at this. What we should do, actually, just for 1 second, I'll grab the other block. Can I do this without disturbing things? The first block that I carved last year, if I take this out of the way just for a second here, let's try and find the spot where this goes. This is the block that I carved last year. It's been cleaned up and printed. Here we are. You can see, there you are, look at this. We're the other way around. You can see it here, I think, right? It goes down, down, down. There they are. Bingo. In fact, that's the area on last year's block that I just cut right now on this year's block. Look at the irregularities though. Microscopes are no fun. Look at this. You can see fat ones, thin ones. Whatever. It's okay. And that's the group there. That's too fat. And you can see it now actually. It should be trimmed down. The old block is cherry. It was a good hard piece of cherry that was selected. It was bought years in advance. Actually too, flipping it over, both sides. That's the block, that's the side for the black. The other side is the key block. There's the same hairs all over again. This is the third time around for this print. Here's the same hairs. These are longer and these are printed in a soft gray. So these hairs will be visible below the black hairs that we're carving. This whole thing is done with a double set of hair. The light gray hairs that are longer, there's the eyebrow, and then the dark hairs go on top of these one by one by one. Who cuts mine? I get it cut by a lady who lives out in Ome, 2 houses down from where I live. She chops all the local hair. First time I went in there, this would be 20 years ago when I moved there, I saw the sign, so I go in her place, and it says, like hair, whatever, blah, blah. And I go in there, and she's like, she didn't panic, but she, whatever. Because she's doing just the women. Usually the women in the neighborhood get their hair done at that place. You know, she's got a setup in her next to her kitchen. I guess not many men go in there, so I walk in there and she's like, but she did it. It was funny. She gives me the apron or whatever, and she starts cutting my hair, cutting my hair. She gets around to the front. I'll never forget this. She gets around the front. She comes around, click, 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 bing, and she bangs my nose with the bottom of her hand under the scissors. And I'm like, I bump back, and she jumps back, and what's wrong, what's wrong? And it's like she realizes she's bumped my nose. I guess she's all her life, she's cut hair and made certain motions. She's got her scissors in her hand, but she's never met somebody whose nose sticks out quite so much. So she laughs and I laugh. She gets back and does it again. And of course, she's got like 50 years of practice with a certain motion, and bang, she bumps my nose again. So we still joke about it. I go in there, and I say, watch my nose, and she says, yeah, I think I got it by now. It's whatever. Noses are different, eh? Noses are different. And you can imagine that she's doing this in her kitchen, so she's been there for a bajillion years. So her room there where she does all the hair cutting, that's the center of all the scuttlebutt and the rumors and all the conversations. Did you hear about such and such, an old lady such and such died, and stuff like this, So back when I was living there, I mean that's when you pick up all your news about what's going on in the neighborhood and stuff, And then of course, in your own way, you have to be careful because you start contributing to it. You might chat with her about something, and you realize that she's just going to tell it to everybody all the way down the chain, Okay, I can't really tell what's going on here. Seems okay. The Coutier blocks, most of I said they're metal plates, but they're carved. First, the Coutier prints, as far as we can tell, they're almost all carved on wood. You can see when you look at the prints themselves under the microscope, you can see places where there's chips or dings or pops that show a knife rather than a pen. So the Coutier prints were carved in wood, but then I believe that most of them, after they were carved, the key blocks were duplicated in metal. So it's both, but they're carved, they're carved. And finer than hair, yeah, that's what the guys could do. You can imagine doing this every day on really prime, good, beautiful supplies and materials. You get pretty good at it, And I'm just fooling around. I do this once every couple of years or something. But if you imagine every day a real good guy, what he's doing, of course they got good and fast. I'm just a hacker of this, really, compared to those guys. It's not that they were better human beings or something, masters. Just simply some guy that did the same thing again and again and again. in the service of people that demanded a good job, then of course you get good at it. Be careful, too fat. No. That was not a good one. Catch all the conversation here, sorry. Someone's asking about the grain with this boxwood. it almost makes no difference at all. This is another reason why the boxwood is so cool. You really can't see any grain. I mean, there is wood grain in here, the tree did grow. But when you with boxwood across the grain with the grain, it makes much less difference than it does with something like cherry. Some of these here, now looking at these on the screen, it gives me a better view here. Some of these, where am I? I'm not sure if there's enough bevel on these, you know. Again, the printing end is somewhere around here. And I think the bevel is probably perhaps too much below the printing, so I may have to re-bevel. After we do a test print, it'll show, you know. When you're doing a test print, if the hairs just stop on a line, then you've got to bevel it down. So the block I showed you a moment ago, the dark one, that had been proofed and printed and re-beveled and proofed and recut, you know. So some of these may have to be cut down again. We'll see. Let's keep going. That's not good. The wood is missing. You have to be careful if they come off not to fall off the end here. Now these are long. They're getting longer now. Whatever, just keep going, Dave. Somewhere around here now, it's the reverse. They're still curving this way. I think this next one is straight, and from after that they curve slightly the other way. I didn't really do that very well last time. This is curved the other way. Maybe you can see it better once I get here. Yeah, you can see the curve difference. So, all right, this is about the most difficult part. The longest hairs get this scoop. When I cut that first side, you know, the knife can sort of go wherever it wants to go, but you're not defining the width of the hair. It's the second cut that now has to look where the first cut is, and this one defines the width of each hair and the shape. This is the tough one. That group is nice, I think. Getting better at this. If I practice now, I can get good at this. If. Where did I get the sketch? We're carving something that I printed last year, which was taken from a tracing I did from an original print. I know if you're just coming in partway through the process, I don't really know where to start, but there is an original print which I traced, and actually you can see it here. We've adapted things a little bit. In the original printer you can see there's faint grey hairs at the same tone as the eyes and eyebrows. So that block has already been carved and done. In the original print, because it was such a small size on a book page, they did an extra block on the hair for black, but they didn't make any attempt to match the hairs up. Their second over block was shorter, stubbier black hairs. It didn't matter at the scale and the cheapness of the book they were producing. In the old UQA days, when it was larger prints and things that were more careful, they took the trouble to match up the two blocks. On special prints, they would cut the over hair black to match exactly one by one by one, the lighter ones, but to do it as you see here. The black hairs would come down about half the length, and they would be printed with a curve to the end, so it just became jet black, bit by bit lighter, lighter. And we've done it this way. I've got a test print. This is not the fine printing. Here you are. You can see what we've tried to do here. In fact, the registration doesn't quite work here on this test print. But the lighter grey is there. The lighter grey is there at the front, and then the darker black comes on top. These are a bit fuzzy. They're not registered properly. So this is what we're trying to do. Clear right from black, right to grey in two blocks. Let's get back to it. Okay, we're good at focus. Now here's where it starts to get a bit funky because I messed up the first one around. They're too thick. This next group should be okay, and then it'll be freestyle. Who knows? Let's see. We're waiting for time. We're okay? Oh yeah, no problem. We're about halfway on. Good, good, good. I'd be more nervous watching this than I am doing it. Not quite sure. Now that we're getting closer to having the block set finished for this thing, at least ready for testing anyway, I've really got to figure out what to do about the paper for it. And we've talked about this before. I really don't know what paper to print this on. The nice thick horseshoe paper we use for our regular prints is not suitable for an image like this. This was a book page, roughly printed, roughly drawn. It's not a detailed, clean, clear, nice print. It needs to be vivid and not rough, that's the wrong word, but I don't know if I said rough or careless, that gives the wrong impression, but it needs to be something like that. Be careful. And on an auction here a few weeks ago, somebody put up some, I'm not sure what to call it, antique paper, old paper. It was a kind of Holden-Miller paper, and it was Taisho era paper. And some of it was moldy. The rest of it looked basically okay. And I was thinking that would be a really, really nice paper to use for this project. It was already toned with age. It had little flecks in it here and there. I was really interested in trying it for this project, but it went crazy, crazy expensive, and I couldn't justify it. Now, in more regular times, I could have done this. We have a good savings account. I could have done that. But now, when we're trying not to lay people off and everything else, I can't justify, spending money on stuff like that. So I have no idea at the moment what paper to select for this project. Some of those almost certainly are too fat, I think. Hey, Cam, is he there? Cameron sounds dropped in, has he or not? Oh, he's there. Sorry, I'm late. Train's late. The train between the kitchen and the bedroom. Step 4 and 5. It's not making a narrower triangle, it's turning it 3D. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are 2D. Up to now, you've seen 1, 2, and 3. It's all working in 2 dimensions. Those triangles are flat at the top. It's impossible to see it, but each of these hairs now is a flat triangle that just comes to sort of a point. And the next one, as I do cut 4, I'll exaggerate here. I'm going to put the knife in and I'm at the tip it just a little. So I'm tipping this way. As I cut, I then tip it over just a tiny bit, and it puts a 3D bevel on the end of the hair. I don't know if you just can't see it. I can barely see it myself. Tipping now, tipping now, tipping now. Look at this. See the tiny bit of wood coming off there? That tiny bit of wood coming off. That has now cut the hair at a 3D. It's got a sideways bevel on the hair. And when you do that from both sides, step 4, step 5, that means the hair now becomes a ramp going down into the space. Here we are, there it comes off. The tiniest bit of wood is disappearing there. It's actually much more visible when you're doing a block like a normal Bijinga, a large scale print. You can see the thing. In fact, I've got a block upstairs that the model reproduction we did, where you'd easily be able to see it, well, even without the microscope. I got a bit too much of that one. Careful. Cut lots on that one too. Whatever, just chuckle, look away, look away. Can those cuts be crushed together by accident, or does the bevel help to prevent that? I'm not sure what you mean. The bevel just makes the hairs get thinner. In the ideal world, they would disappear to nothing at an indeterminate point. We don't want to see the actual end. Okay. Now, I have trouble seeing. I can't even see these myself, so let's have a go at this. I don't even know what's going on here. Let's try. sure where I'm going here. So that one's really short. Hmm? Oh. It's funny somebody mentions that right now. We need a football broadcaster commentating on this because it's whatever, half a year or so. Cameron is here, so maybe he remembers this. We were chatting about what should we do for one of the April Fools one day. I'm not an April Fooler. I don't like that kind of stuff so much. I don't do those things myself. But we thought it would be really cool to make an April Fool's kind of video one day. We haven't done it because it's just the time and whatever. Enough trouble getting normal videos up. But one of the ideas on the table was to do the thing like that. There's, who was it? Was it Flanders and Swan, the old British joke couple? They did a play-by-play of a Beethoven symphony or something. You can, it's out there, you know, oh, did you hear that or whatever, but whatever. They did a real good job of the play-by-play of one movement of a Beethoven symphony as a sports thing. And that's famous, that's out there. And I was thinking of trying to do it for one of these, you know. It wouldn't be so much for the hair carving routine because it's just too much the same thing. But if you made a video with a bit of this carving, a bit of persuader, a bit of this and a bit of that, just made it like a 3-4 minute video of this, and then you could do a real fun play-by-play. The problem for me, the reason I can't do this myself, is I don't watch enough sports. I don't know all the catchphrases. I don't know, you know, the voices to do and stuff like that. But at some point, maybe if somebody out there who knows how to do that stuff, or could imitate the right voices, or who knows all the things to say, the standard sports cliches, it will be fun to try doing one of our videos that way. You know, I think, whatever, it's not going to happen because, you know, time and everything else, whatever. There's more important stuff in the way, but it would be a hoot, I think. You know. They must do it for Olympics to show. I mean, this must be some Olympic sport where people are like, maybe they're shooting or something, carefully aiming and ready and easy, they hold their breath and then bang, out it goes. Or golf, yeah, maybe it's golf because it's the one where it's pausing and slow and then something happens, you know, maybe. I think it was Flanders and Swan, S-W-A-N-N. They did the Beethoven movie. It was them or it was the other pair? It'll come to me. When I stop thinking about it, it'll come to me. The same guy that did the horn concerto. He did a set of lyrics to a Mozart horn concerto. It's Flanders to show, Flanders and Swan. And he sings a horn concerto. Bop, bop, bop. They bop me the swan, bop, 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 bop. You know, it's great stuff. Although the camera is beeping at me. Does it something it's complaining about the manual mode? Come on, camera, it's got a few minutes to go. Don't give up now. I'm waffling here because this now is the most difficult part because it's unclear what to carve. You know, you show me what to carve and I can have a go at it, but when you put some vague, blurry stuff here, I'm not so sure. This is, of course, a big difference to me and the old guys. You know, the old guys didn't even have this. They just had, some artist just did a grey wash, bop, and then put a few black lines in to show where it should go. see the difference. So 1, 2, 3, number 2 is way too fat. Look at that, you can see it. It's much harder to trim them once they're cut, you know. It'll be interesting fun once this thing's done, when the print is finished, a few weeks from now, whatever, to take the finished print and get a blow up and compare it to what we're doing here, you know, because it'll all be visible. Everything I'm doing here now is going to be totally visible in the finished print. Too thick, I can't tell. Okay, I believe we may have it. Let's have a look. You can see the curve there, I guess, the cylinders, right? Look, up in the area at the end there. You can see. It's hard to see. You can see the way they bevel down at the top, underneath my finger there. Here it's not so visible, and actually maybe I haven't actually beveled enough on some of these, the ones that are right here, where am I pointing at? Maybe somewhere around here, I perhaps haven't beveled enough. Look, that looks like it's got a square end still. We'll find out at the time I test print it. Some of these up here, look at that, they look perhaps perfect, we'll see. I also see that I lost the tip of my blade somewhere along the way there, just near the end there. See it? The point of the blade is gone. Okay, let's see. Let's get rid of the close camera here for a minute. Or, okay, so the top camera's not focusing, is it? Yeah, there's the overview. So then we have the second version of her head. As I mentioned the other day, the first version, these lines were all cut very, very much too wide. So this time around I've been more careful. I've cut them narrower. She won't have such horrible white hair. In the first version, you can see it's grotesque. I don't even know, I must have been dreaming or something. These scoops are all way too thick. And they've given her, like huge streaks and gaps in her hair. So the second time around, the one we've cut now, these are much, much narrower. We'll see. Today's on a Thursday. What we'll do now, this Octopus print actually is now getting nearly complete on the carving. The lettering block, there's two kanji I still can't figure out, so I'll try and get a dictionary out and figure out the lettering on those kanji. And then the lettering block, other than that, is finished. I did the persuading work on it, the noisy work the other day. So maybe that might be Saturday's stream. Finish the final lettering, clearing up around the lettering block. I'm not sure, or we may be up to something else, because there's another project that's suddenly come down the pike the last couple of days that I have to get started on. Patreon Chibis 2020. The first ones have to go in May, and I have yet to even start to carve or print them. Patreon campaign has been hugely, hugely helpful for us, and everybody gets chibi prints, and the next two are due starting in May. Okay, I've missed a huge amount of the stream here, I'm sorry. When I'm leading my lunch, whatever, I'll try and skip through it to see what I might have missed. Other than that, I think that's it for today. It's a tiny bit early, but there we are. We've finished our job. We've finished the work. So thank you very much for watching. I hope there's something that's been useful for you here. So far, so good. Healthy here. Nothing. I don't go out shopping. All my food is delivered. I'm not going anywhere. Very few people come in to visit. So I think for the duration, I'll try and stay safe and happy and healthy here. And no show and tell. No, Cameron, don't bother me about this. The show, no show and tell. I've just been preparing just for this one. I spent so much time on the microphone and the camera and stuff. So anyway, there we are. And I'll see you Saturday morning. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks for tuning in. And see you then. Nice to do this. My God, if this had been happening 30, 40 years ago when I was in Canada, if I could have seen something like this, where would I be now, Who knows? Okay. See you on Saturday. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.